Yeah. I mean, like back-to-back sports, activities, hobbies, play dates.
Yeah.
You know, as soon as they get out of school, they have to be doing something, and then they have to be going to something. And I don't know about you. My big experience with one kid is that if I have her in a jam-packed day, and then that night we have something like a swim class, she is a monster.
She's a bear.
By bedtime. And like, you should be exhausted. I just tried everything in my power to wear you out. And now you're worse than ever.
I know. And, and I think that's also like with the sort of over-programming and making sure they don't get bored and they're overstimulated and whatever, then they're not doing things like just playing out on the street with the friends. They're not knocking on doors. I mean, look how play dates are done now. It's moms calling each other or texting each other or, e-messaging, whatever. My mom never set up a play date in my entire life. A play date was like, go outside,
and find a play date.
Ring a doorbell and hope a kid can come outside, right?
Yeah.
And then we beat boredom by doing things like just riding our bikes around the neighborhood and doing those sorts of things. I do worry that we don't let our kids get bored, and then the problem, of course, for us parents then is they don't know how to entertain themselves.
But that's exactly it.
Because then it falls on us.
Exactly. And that's my worst fear. What if I have to be doing the second child thing for the rest of my life? I'm too old for this crap. Like, I gave birth to you. Go do stuff.
Right. And for me, it's easy. They'll be like, Mom, do you want to play My Little Ponies? And I say, no, go find a brother. It's kind of the reason I had him.
Yeah. So you would have someone to play
that's
with.
right. You have built-in playmates. Yes. Because I like doing some things with my kids, but I don't feel like I need to play with them.
No. I have fun.
Playmate.
I have fun playing with Maddie a little bit. Yeah. But, I'm guilty of this. Yeah. Like, we'll go to a restaurant if we're going to, it's a Sunday afternoon and we've had a busy weekend. We'll go to a restaurant, we'll sit on a patio, and we will bring the iPad for Maddie.
Right.
Because if we don't, she'll want to go home. We want to just sit and relax.
And enjoy. Yeah.
But we have very limited iPad time, too, during the week.
Okay,
I mean, she's almost 6.
Yeah.
She doesn't get it during the week.
Right.
And it's actually... I can't even say it's because I'm an amazing mom, which I am.
Clearly.
But it's with all my experience, with all my kid. But it's because it's just not an issue for her to be on the iPad. Right. She gets a lot of TV, which like when we get home at night after playing out on the street, she gets TV time.
It's fine. It's okay for kids to watch TV. Like, remember Love Boat? Remember Three's Company?
Fantasy Island?
Remember
right after Love Boat?
Right?
Yeah, with an egg thing with like Smarties in it and a Pepsi. That wasn't boring.
It was okay.
Yeah.
And that is the thing. I just think, if you want to throw around the iPad so you guys can have a glass of wine and not... I don't think there's anything really wrong with that.
Like, no, I don't either.
It's everything in moderation. But it is okay for the kid to sit there and be bored sometimes, too, and just be like, oh, I wish Mom and Dad would hurry up.
We're lucky. She's almost 6, and it was only in the last month she said something to me. It was a rainy day, and no kids were around, and she was walking around here, and she said, I'm bored. And I was like, well, you got a house full of toys and a lot of stuff you can be doing. Yeah. And she didn't
figure it
back.
out.
She didn't come back. I mean, she found something to do, probably involved going through my jewelry or my makeup, but she found something to do.
We had a funny one. One of my 11-year-old had made she got a jar. It's called the bored jar, and she and her friend put on popsicle sticks little ideas of fun things they could do. So if they ever get bored, they go on the popsicle stick and find something.
What a great idea.
It was super cute, except then one night after she went to bed, her sisters made up new popsicle sticks.
Oh, no. Girls are cruel.
Oh, so bad. But it was so bad. Like, I was dying of laughter. They were so funny. They're like... go and jump off the roof, or go and polish all of Posey's shoes, go and like just all these ridiculous things. They were so mean. Oh, the kid was so mad at them, but it was hilarious. So, I mean, that was it. One of the boredom beaters was writing or making up all the popsicle sticks for the on board jar. And another boredom beater was replacing them all with alternative
hours of
rude,
boredom.
mean, sisterly
So that's where bored led to bad. But that's okay. Like, that's okay. They're not in jail.
But I think another thing, too, that's important is that, and I've seen this with people who just have the one at first, and they do over-engage them. Like, if they over-engage with the child, then they have the second child, and the first doesn't know how to entertain themselves.
Yeah.
So that can be a huge problem, because then all of a sudden Mom's sitting there and spending all day breastfeeding or whatever with this new baby, dealing with that. And the toddler is just like, I'm sorry, I've had 100% of attention for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I prefer that to continue just that way.
Exactly.
So I think, for any mamas out there who might be expecting number 2, start giving number 1 some time to figure out how to entertain themselves.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
And something I did with my kid with autism, actually, because for me, play was an issue because it would be repetitive and toys would not be used in an appropriate way. So blocks would just get lined up. And to me, that was a waste of time. So what I did was I set up a bunch of closed-end activities. So I would have a puzzle.
Yep.
And then I'd have another activity. I'd have about 5 things. So it would take him 20 minutes. And I'd say, go through the line. It'd take him 20 minutes to go through the line. And that was enough for me to get the baby fed, to get dinner on, blah, 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 whatever.
Right.
So if you can have some closed-end activities and almost teach them the order of that, because I mean they are little and they might need some help in how to, you need to teach them how to entertain themselves too.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's okay.
They need some guidance.
Yeah.
Like if Maddie and her little buddies are here and they're bored, I mean, they've been inside, it's cold, it's winter, it's raining. I just take out my stuff in the kitchen. I give them mixing bowls. I give them flour, water, salt.
It's a mess, but whatever.
It's a mess.
It's always worth it.
You know what? Then they created something that is completely inedible.
Yeah. And they're quiet
and they're
for a little while.
And it's fun.
My kids, they were raised with a mom who was working. Like I was building Mabel's labels and I worked a lot from home. So they learned very early on that, you know what? Part of the joy of having a mom that can be around a little more is that you have to leave mom alone to get stuff done. Because otherwise, mom's going to be at an office from 9 to 5 every day. Yeah. And we won't be able to sneak out to the park in the afternoon. We won't be able to do those things. So it's also about communicating and letting them know what your expectations are of their behavior.
Yeah, good point.
Yep.
Do you have any tips on how you keep a bored child occupied? Or
do you care? Do you care? If you have a bored child?
I personally think that boredom is the best way to get their creativity started.
Yeah, get those creative juices a flowing.
That's when you get the best pictures for your fridge.
Yeah, that's it. It's a fridger. It's a fridger.
My fridger is all fridgers, and I only have one kid. Like, look at that fridge. Nothing.
All my fridgers end up in the recycling box.
Mine do too, but if they get caught in there, then there's like a huge fight. Yeah. Anyway, so if you liked our episode, subscribe down below and get our videos every week, and find us on Facebook and YouTube, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.